The Uninvited Guests. When Sarah married James, she had dreams of a harmonious life where decisions were made together, where respect and communication were the cornerstones of their relationship. But all of that came crashing down one fateful evening. It was a typical Tuesday night. Sarah was finishing up some work in her home office when she heard the front door open. The sound of laughter and chatter filled the hallway. Curious, she stepped out of her office to find James standing there with his parents, suitcases in hand. "James, what's going on?" Sarah asked, trying to mask her surprise. "Mum and Dad are moving in with us," James said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "What?" Sarah's voice was sharper than she intended. "Why wasn't I consulted about this?" James sighed, clearly frustrated. "Sarah, they need a place to stay. Their house sold faster than expected, and they haven't found a new one yet. It's just temporary." Temporary. The word echoed in Sarah's mind as she forced a smile and welcomed her in-laws. As the weeks turned into months, temporary became a distant hope. From the start, living with her in-laws was a challenge. Sarah had always believed in maintaining a balance of personal space and togetherness. But her in-laws, particularly her mother-in-law, had different ideas. Her mother-in-law took over the kitchen, rearranging everything to her liking. Sarah's carefully curated pantry became a chaotic mix of unfamiliar ingredients, and her cooking routines were constantly interrupted by unsolicited advice and interference. Her father-in-law, though less intrusive, had a habit of occupying the living room for hours, watching television at a volume that could be heard throughout the house. Privacy became a luxury Sarah could no longer afford. But the real strain was on her marriage. James seemed oblivious to her growing frustration. Whenever Sarah tried to discuss the situation, he dismissed her concerns. "They're family," he would say. "We have to help them." Sarah felt like a guest in her own home, her opinions and feelings overshadowed by the needs and presence of her in-laws. She missed the quiet evenings she and James used to share, the sense of partnership that had once been the foundation of their relationship. One evening, after another exhausting day of juggling work and managing a household that no longer felt like her own, Sarah reached her breaking point. She found James in their bedroom, scrolling through his phone. "James, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling with pent-up emotion. "Can it wait?" "I'm tired," James replied, not looking up. "No, it can't," Sarah insisted. "I can't keep living like this. This isn't what we agreed to. This isn't our life." James finally looked up, his expression a mix of confusion and irritation. "What are you talking about?" "Your parents moving in without any discussion," Sarah said. "I feel like I have no say in our home anymore. I feel invisible." James sighed, rubbing his temples. "Sarah, it's just temporary. Can't you understand that? It's been months, James. And you didn't even ask me. You made a unilateral decision that affects both of us. This is our home. We're supposed to make decisions together." Silence filled the room, thick with unspoken words and unresolved tension. Finally, James spoke, his voice softer. "I didn't realize you felt this way. I just thought, they're my parents. I have to help them. And I'm your wife," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "Don't I matter too?" James looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in what felt like forever. He saw the exhaustion, the hurt, the sense of betrayal. And he realized that in trying to help his parents, he had neglected the person who mattered most. "I'm sorry, Sarah," he said, taking her hand. I didn't mean to make you feel like this. We'll find a solution. Together. The next day, James sat down with his parents and explained the situation. They were initially surprised, but ultimately understanding. Within a few weeks, they found a temporary rental nearby, allowing them to stay close without infringing on Sarah and James's space. As Sarah and James helped his parents move into their new place, there was a sense of relief and renewed hope. They knew there would be challenges ahead, but they also knew they could face them together, as partners. That night, as they settled into their now quiet home, Sarah leaned against James and whispered, "Thank you." James kissed her forehead and held her close. "We're a team, Sarah. From now on, we make decisions together. Always." And for the first time in months, Sarah felt like she was truly home.